Round one, fight!
Did I read that right?
You did.
Did I read that right?
You certainly did, yes, sir.
You shared, the two of you shared an enjoyment of controlled drugs or alcohol at that time, right?
The two of us were making a film together.
With respect, sir, that wasn't my question. My question was the two of you shared an enjoyment of controlled drugs and alcohol at that time. Yes or no?
Round two, fight!
You signed as part of your divorce proceedings, correct?
That's my signature indeed, yeah.
Mr. Depp, that is your signature on the right, correct?
Yes, it is.
Neither party has made false accusations for financial gain. Neither party has made false accusations for financial gain. Did I read that right?
You did, Mr.
Take
Rottenborn.
that down, Michelle. And that was a document you signed in August of 2016. Correct?
Is that the same one that I signed 3 times before? Yes,
Yeah.
that's the fourth.
Well, I wanted to make clear that you signed
made
that.
it clear
in
to
some-
come back and write pirates. Sorry. So I can read it out of someone's article, but not from the man's mouth. So what happens? So that he would stop talking so much. Yes, sir, that is a lot of marijuana. Looks like it would fit some cocaine. Cocaine is, in my experience, normally given in plastic bags. When you put it in a box like that, chances are very good you'll leave a trail of a long line of cocaine.
Final round, fight!
A lot of chance to talk and trying to be respectful of the court's time and the jury's time. So I'm going to ask you that question again.
146 minutes later.
Mr. Depp, with respect, trying to respect the court's time and the jury's time, that was not my question. My question was
I
simply,
understand when
you
you
would
take 5
agree,
minutes to look for a
you would agree.
document, October is 2 months before December. That's correct. Isn't happy hour anytime? Where's he going? Were you there?
And then you write, I have other uses for your throat which do not include injury. I have other uses for your throat which do not include injury.
Sorry, could you read that again?
Well done. Round 1. Fight!
Dr. Curry, you're not board certified, correct?
No, I'm not.
Not in clinical psychology or in forensic psychology, correct?
No, I'm a licensed clinical psychologist.
But you're not board certified.
No,
And you also have only been practicing approximately 8 years, is that correct?
that's not correct.
How many years?
I've been licensed for 10 years, and I've been practicing for about 15 years.
Okay, and that includes what you went through with your different trials in Hawaii and everything else you testified to, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you went to Mr. Depp's home for dinner and drinks before you were hired as an expert in this case, correct?
That's not quite right. I was interviewed at Mr. Depp's home by his legal team. Dinner was served.
You, in attendance with Mr. Depp was Adam Waldman, correct?
Yes.
Ben Chu, correct?
Yes.
Camille Vasquez,
Yes.
okay. And the dinner lasted approximately 3 to 4 hours, correct?
Yes.
And it included
interview.
drinks, correct?
Yes. Dinner and I believe drinks were served.
And this was before you were hired as an expert, correct?
Yes, this was an interview so that they could make an informed decision as to whether or not to retain me.
And don't you think that's a little odd that you're getting interviewed by Mr. Depp to decide whether you're going to testify adversely against Amber Heard?
I was interviewed by the legal team.
And Mr. Depp was present. It was his home, correct?
Yes.
And he was serving dinner and drinks.
He was not serving dinner and drinks.
Well, it was at his house at his behest, correct?
Yes, it was at his house.
Okay. And you were contacted by Camille Vasquez, somebody you knew in the community, in February of 2020, is that correct?
I knew of Ms. Vasquez professionally. We live in the same city, and I work with many attorneys.
Round 2. Fight!
And at that time, you not only knew Johnny Depp, you'd seen a number of his TV and movie roles, and you believed he was a good actor, correct?
Not correct. I did not know Johnny Depp. I had
You knew
seen
of
several
him.
of his movies.
You knew who he was,
Yes.
and you believed he was a good actor.
Yes.
And then you provided an expert designation in this case before ever seeing Amber or having an opportunity to review any documents or records. Isn't that correct?
I did not provide an expert designation. That's an attorney thing. My opinions are contained in my report.
And this is a signed pleading, correct? On behalf of Mr. Depp.
I'm not sure I understand what that means.
You don't understand what a signed pleading is?
No.
Okay. Do you understand that Mr. Depp's counsel prepared this and served it on Ms. Heard's counsel?
I'm not an attorney. I don't understand necessarily all of these procedures.
It's a coincidence then that you came up with symptoms of borderline personality disorder years later after Mr. Depp has been talking with Heard in an audio tape.
I can't speak to whether or not there's a coincidence. What I can tell you is my opinions are based on the results of my evaluation.
You know the percentage of women who are victims of IPV, intimate partner violence or domestic abuse, who are diagnosed with borderline personality disorders?
I can't tell you the percentage off of the top of my head, but I do know that there is a larger, women with borderline personality disorder tend to have a higher prevalence of being involved in intimate partner violence relationships, being the receiver of violence, and being the perpetuators of violence.
Final round. Fight!
Now, you did not disclose in any of the designations or your report that you had met with and had dinner and drinks with Mr. Depp, did you?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more
Yes,
time? That
you did
confused
not
me.
disclose in any of the designations or your report dinner and drinks with Mr. Depp, correct?
I did not disclose that I was interviewed by the legal team, no.
I asked a different question. Are you trying to resist that you didn't have dinner with Mr. Depp and drinks?
I'm not trying to resist that, but it's not quite right.
And you didn't disclose that you had met with Mr. Depp, Mr. Waldman, Mr. Chu, and Ms. Vasquez at Mr. Depp's house for 3 to 4 hours and had dinner and drinks, correct?
I did not disclose that. It's not significant to the report.
You don't think that's significant, correct?
I don't.
If you did not find something that would be in favor of Mr. Depp and negative to Ms. Heard, that you wouldn't be an expert in this case. But
Essentially-
I can bring you into court if you're going to say that Ms. Heard is right and Mr. Depp is wrong, correct?
So as a forensic psychologist, my obligation is to the court, as to the fact finder. I present science regardless of what that science may be.
You were, in fact, so excited about being involved in this case that you told your husband, even though this was a highly confidential matter, that you were going to be conducting the examination of Ms. Heard, didn't you?
That is not accurate.
You not only told your husband, but you told Ms. Heard that you told your husband, correct?
Ms. Bredoff, that is not accurate.
What is accurate?
You're incorrect. That is not correct.
Is your testimony today under oath that you did not tell your husband that you were going to be conducting the examination of Amber?
That is my testimony.
So the question that was asked was because you brought muffins, you said, from your husband, right? You gave those to Ms. Heard, correct?
May I clarify what occurred so that we can stop talking about the muffins? What happened was that I was getting ready that morning. I frequently bring muffins to the office. My husband did happen to know that there was going to be a celebrity client coming in, because on the mornings that occurs, which often occurs, we have to actually clear the office and move the staff to the other office. So yes, on the one hand, he was aware of that. I was getting ready. I asked him to go to the bakery near our house and pick up the muffins for me because I was running late. He often has to do that because I often do run late. He brought the muffins back to the house. I brought them into the office. Ms. Heard and I enjoyed the muffins together. I think I made a comment to her along the lines like, we can thank my husband. My husband got these for us today, meaning he purchased the muffins. We are now enjoying them because of him.
Run, run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man!
You're a monster!
I'm not the monster here, you are. You and the rest of that fairy tale trash poisoning my perfect world. Now tell me, where are the others?
Eat me!
I've tried to be fair to you creatures. Now my patience has reached its end. Tell me, or I'll...
No, not the buttons! Not my gumdrop buttons!
All right then, who's hiding them?
Okay, I'll tell you. Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man!
Yes, I know the Muffin Man. Who lives on Drury Lane?
Well, she's married to the Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man!
She's married to the Muffin Man.
Excellent. Meanwhile, at the Legion of Doom.
You testified yesterday that you have to give careful attention to gendered stereotypes.
That is correct.
When you're talking about intimate partner violence, you have to pay attention to gendered stereotypes. And during your testimony, you in fact paid attention to gendered stereotypes, correct?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, you said we were going to have to pay attention to gendered stereotypes, and then you testified at length where you referenced both men and women. You paid attention to those stereotypes during the course of your testimony, correct?
What I was saying was you have to pay attention to gendered stereotypes when you're conducting these evaluations. You can't assume all the time that the male is the perpetrator and the female is the victim. You have to go into the evaluation understanding that the male also could be the victim of intimate partner violence.
Every time you referred to the characteristic of a victim of intimate partner violence yesterday, you used the pronouns she or her, didn't you?
I was using the she and her pronouns in this case because my determination was, as I stated, that Ms. Heard was the victim of intimate partner violence. That is why I was using the she, her pronouns.
I didn't ask you about treatment. I asked you about testimony. You broke out your practice between treatment and testimony. I'm not asking about treatment. When's the last time you testified on behalf of a man?
I testified recently in a deposition on behalf of a man who was traumatized because he was wrongly convicted.
Let's page 78, line 8. So you can't recall a single instance where you were hired by the attorney representing the male in an IPV matter, correct?
In an IPV matter, not in a trauma matter or a child sexual abuse matter.
Okay, so that's the distinction. You don't have any recollection of ever testifying on behalf of a male in an IPV matter.
As I stated yesterday, the very first case that I testified in was in a same-sex intimate partner violence where the man was the victim of another man. I routinely treat and assess same-sex couples where the female can be the perpetrator of another female.
You're a professional witness, correct?
That's not correct.
No? You make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year testifying in court, correct?
Not testifying in court, I conduct thorough, comprehensive psychological evaluations of individuals who are involved in a court case. The majority of those cases never show up in a courtroom. And half of my practice and half of my income is about my clinical work with people who are coming to me for therapy.
I didn't ask you about the other half of your income. I'm asking you whether you made hundreds of thousands of dollars a year testifying as an expert witness in court.
As you're phrasing that question, that's not correct. That would be the amount of income that I generate from my forensic practice. I testify perhaps maybe once or twice a year. Most of the work is done behind the scenes in evaluating individuals and issuing reports.
But you'll agree with me that a big part of that practice is providing expert witness testimony.
That's not correct.
No? That's not a big part of your practice.
If I testify twice a year, that's not a big part of my practice. All the other time is doing the work for the cases and evaluating the individuals and issuing reports.
And so when you arrived at the house and went in, was it just Mr. Depp and Amber Heard?
Just Mr. Depp and Amber Heard.
And
There
before
may have been someone else there. I never visibly seen anyone else. I wasn't there long enough to chat to anybody.
and when you arrived at the house, you could hear a ruckus, correct?
Yes. Yes, I could hear. I could hear. Definitely hear something through the door. Yeah.
But you said the door was so thick you couldn't hear the actual words that were being said. Is that right?
No, just a shouting.
And then you went in the house and saw Mr. Depp in the foyer, correct?
Yes, correct.
And Mr. Depp was trying to urinate in the foyer, wasn't he?
No.
Mr. Depp had his penis out of his
Objection.
pants, didn't he?
I think I would remember.
Relevance.
Seeing Mr. Depp penis.
I'll allow. Next question.
And you were trying to get Mr. Depp out of the house, correct?
Correct. I was trying to get Mr. Depp out of the house. Yes.
And Mr. Depp was refusing to leave the house, was he not?
Not so much refused. He just wanted 2 minutes to say his piece.
You took Mr. Depp's arm to try to move him out, but he broke away, isn't that right?
Yes.
I mean, so he was strong enough to break away from your grip, correct?
No.
So you had his arm and he broke away, though, correct?
No.
Isn't that what you just said?
No. I let him go.
You let go. But it wasn't
Yes,
easy.
boss.
It wasn't
I'm not
easy.
going to drag him by it.
So Mr. Depp's your boss. You'll do what Mr. Depp wants, correct? And you had interaction with Debbie Lloyd when you're in the house, correct?
Yes, briefly.
And isn't it true that in the entire time you were there, you were not informed as to what caused damage to Mr. Depp's finger on March 8th?
Objection. Hearsay.
Asking what he wasn't told.
Sustain the objection. Next question.
You didn't know what could cause damage to Mr. Depp's hand while you were there on March 8th, correct?
Dr. Kipper told me he sustained an injury on one of his
Well,
fingers.
objection, hearsay.
Wait, you asked.
Oh, okay, you said he sustained an injury to his finger,
Yes,
but you don't know what caused the injury to his finger.
one of his fingers.
But you don't know you don't know how his finger was injured,
I
correct?
don't think anybody mentioned it to me at that time.
Right, no one mentioned it to you at that time, correct?
Same objection, Your Honor. Hearsay.
Sorry, I'll allow it. Next question.
But, you know, he's constantly smoking, and at some point he starts howling out of the window and then grabs two small dogs. Well, one was Johnny's dog and one was my dog, but he grabs, if I remember correctly, Boo, his dog, slightly chunkier teacup Yorkie. He grabs this teacup Yorkie and holds Boo out of the window of the moving car. And he's howling like an animal while holding the dog out of the window. I think I had eaten a mushroom cap. My dog stepped on a bee.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice,